After narrowly escaping the Valley with a victory over Fresno State, the Aztecs now are set for 2 games this week, Tuesday night against Colorado State at home, and this Saturday on the road against New Mexico. The last 4 final games of the season are here. Sons of Montezuma podcast Kiss the Rings episode is about to begin.
Mensa thought about it, dumps it off, and an acrobatic finish for Johnson down low. Position, you see the help defense coming over by Fresno. Bradley, the long 3, dials it in. So much of what San Diego State does is they really just get up in your face, and here is Trammell stealing the cookies. Mensa knifing through the lane. Oh, the beautiful hook. Mensa with the offensive rebound, and there's that hook shot again. And Trammell, tough take, and we have our 12th lead change. Yap to inbound, gets it ahead, and the quick foul right there. Hill, they don't whistle anything. Hill for the game.
EJAS, because we the best in home game energy. Got us ready to beat
John Schaefer nerding out on the Ken Palm interview.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good, man. I thought it was actually really good. All right, Aztec Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. It's a Kiss the Rings episode, which a lot of these are Kiss the Rings episodes because it's basketball season. That's why, baby. It's your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego. Of course, you can find us at Sons of Monty on Twitter, Sons of Montezuma on Instagram, Facebook. I've even been dabbling in Reddit recently, so that's kind of cool. You never know what you're going to find on Reddit, right? And of course, YouTube. You want to subscribe and like us on YouTube. I am joined with my co-host. You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him at SD Sports Fiend. And of course, our sandwich and basketball aficionado, Mike Tortolot. What's going on, fellas? Tell me, what did you guys think with the Jamal Franklin episode that we just dropped last week? I thought it was amazing. Give me your guys' thoughts.
I loved it. You know, just hearing him when he talks about the carrier and his time over there in China and things like that. You know, it was good to see him and catch up with him too. Listening to how candid he is about his time at San Diego State was great.
Yeah, no, I thought the interview was great. I just love the stories that he talked about, you know, with his tales from China and time at SDSU when he was trying to put the ball between his legs against Wyoming and he got chewed out by fish, and you know, just the dunk that he had at Fresno and the rivalry with UNLV. I thought it was a really great sort of like a time capsule of that era, and so it was fantastic to have a chance to talk to him about that.
It just brought up so many different memories and so many different games and teams, and just what an interview, man.
You know, I thought it was interesting. He said that UNLV was the team that he'd like to play the most. That was like the biggest rival. And literally they have been down like ever since then. So the last 10 years, they've just been down, and now they're sort of coming back. But it was interesting just to get his take on that, because so many of these teams in the Mountain West, whether it's Nevada or New Mexico, UNLV, Colorado State, I mean, they are up and down and up and down and up and down. And the Aztecs just stay level at the top, except for that one year in 2017, where I think we had a playing game at the Mountain West tournament. But other than that, I mean, it's like every year we're a contender for the Mountain West title, and we're a threat to get to the NCAA tournament.
Kiss the rings, baby. Kiss the rings. We know the championship runs through Viejas.
Well, no, yeah, everything runs through us. We're the most consistent team. I was talking to, my little girl last night, and I go, we're used to winning. We always win. Like, we have a bad year here and there, but you have to expect that once in a while, and it doesn't happen very often for us. So, I say to her, we win with class and we lose with grace. We're not going to throw a temper tantrum. We expect to win every game, but we know that the law of averages, we're going to lose one here or there. But we win more often than not. And I think we've been at the Mountain West final, 6-7 times in a row. And we don't win them all, obviously, but it's the consistency of that where you get a blip with Boise State last year, or you get Nevada for 2 years, or you get whoever, but it's not, that's compared to us is just a bump in the road on the freeway. You know what I mean? So, I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine when we played that Sweet 16 team with the Jamal before he left, when we lost Florida Gulf Coast. And I was talking to him like, oh man, Georgetown. And I remember my guy goes, dude, the coaches are more worried about Florida Gulf Coast than they are Georgetown. I remember him specifically saying that. I said, you got to be kidding me. He's like, no. And they were right. They were right. So
that was a 15 taken down a 2.
What a sour note to leave State on for Jamal. But, I don't think about, when I think of Jamal, I don't think about that game. I think about just all the amazing plays, the highlights. Fisher said it best, and I included it in there. It was from a YouTube video from No Schnacks on YouTube. That video of Fisher's quote, just saying how he's never coached in all his years coaching a more competitive, somebody who just wanted to win and was a leader as much as Jamal. And I mean, it's true, man. He had that competitive fire. Jamal was he embodied that. Like he had no fear. He went out there, he banked on himself, he proved it, and still left a year early. Like, just what a phenomenal Aztec. So, Mike, we got to give you a lot of credit. Thank you for facilitating that interview. We actually conducted it before his season began in China. He was under quarantine, and then things happened. The interview was so compelling. He was talking about all the changes in China, and how they're really trying to shrink the influence of foreign players, and just as China does, right? And it's a smart business move to take. You bring in the players, they practice twice a day, so that tells you really China is importing these players for practice to get their players better, so that their national team can excel. So hey, it's a smart way to go about it. I get it, but since then Jamal left China and he's now playing for the Converge Fiber Xers in the Philippine Basketball Association. He is absolutely killing it. And the cool thing about that is that you can find a lot, like it's all over YouTube. The Philippine Basketball Association is all over YouTube. You can track all his games on there. Whereas China, it's a little more obscure. You really have to dig to find information about him. So it's the Philippines, and you can check it out for yourself. But man, big thank you to Jamal, and big thank you to you, Mike. That was an amazing opportunity we got. Definitely want to check out that interview with Jamal. The YouTube channel is growing every day. Okay, guys, there's a lot to cover this week. It's actually a big week. There's 4 games left on the schedule. We got to finish out strong. We got Colorado State on Tuesday night. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of the game, all right, guys, so we beat Fresno. But that game, I mean, geez, it kind of left you even more convinced that pretty much everything in Fresno sucks. Even more than before the game. 45-43, just an ugly game. It's President's Day weekend, so it's a nice little buffer. The team had the weekend off. I don't really want to think about that Fresno game, guys, but I mean, geez, what went wrong in Fresno in the Valley?
Nothing went wrong. We Fresno State's always physical. They're like us. It's like facing ourselves. We only faced them one time. We won 45-43. It's a beautiful game. I love it because now you can look at how many different ways that we won a basketball game this year. I know everybody's like, it's interesting because everybody was like pumped about after the UNLV game, we're back, we're the best. And then the Fresno State game hits and it's like, holy shit, we're like, you get so high that you're in the clouds, and then you get so low that the ants can piss on you kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's why I'm like, hey, let's just keep winning games in a different fashion. And we have. That's just one game. You're not gonna be great every game, but you need to find a way to win when you're great and when you're not. And they found a way to win that game. It was ugly, but they figured it out. And I kind of expect that game, with a Fresno. It's kind of like Pittsburgh and Baltimore in football. You just expect a slugfest.
That's an interesting analogy,
Yeah, they don't have the talent we do, but they know what, Hut knows what he's doing over there. He's played with them long enough. And, it was interesting to watch, but a W is a W, man. I loved it.
Fiend, do you agree with that assessment of that game against? 32%, 16 of 49 field goals. Do you agree with that, Fiend?
I mean, I agree that a win's a win. And hey, we escaped Fresno with just horrendous shooting. And so did Fresno. No one could hit a bucket. I actually watched that game again. I am a glutton for punishment. I don't know why I watched it, but I just wanted to see why we couldn't hit buckets. And we had some great looks. We just could not get it in the basket. But neither could Fresno. And that's just the way it was all game. It was ugly. And, came down to the last possession. And we were lucky they didn't make it 3. Sometimes those games just happen. And I will say this, I think that we've said this before on the podcast. We are going to get everyone's best shot. And I think Fresno State, like everyone in the Mountain West, has us circled on their calendar. And so we got their best shot that they could give us. And they played great defense. They were great at switching screens. Eduardo in the middle was fantastic. I mean, he wasn't giving up those alley-oop dunks that we were getting in the game before. I mean, I just thought that they played fantastic defense. I was shocked when I saw like how bad they are metrically and their record, because they did not look like they were that bad of a team defensively. Offensively, they were horrible, just like we were.
So big shout out to Mike Minares, one of our content creators. He writes some of our articles along with Eugene. And, before the game, he sent me a text and he was like, Fresno's metrics are awful offensively. These guys cannot buy a bucket, but they're going to come and bring their defensive A game as a Justin Hudson team should. But a lot of it, dude, I'm watching the game and I just think these refs were just letting them go out there and just hammer each other. There was so many plays in the lane that I feel should have been called fouls on both sides, and it really kind of shaped the game to be as ugly as it was. Like, they didn't need the refs' help. I'm all for that sometimes, but oh man, it was just too ugly.
What it reminded me of is those basketball hoops at the Del Mar Fair that are just barely bigger than the basketball, and you can never get it in the basket to win the prize.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. And I'm sure the guys on the court shooting the ball felt that way too.
Imagine if we lost.
Nope, not going to go there.
I'm just saying, look at the positive. Imagine if we lost, it would have been a whole different conversation. We won, and now we're on to Colorado State.
So looking at Dutcher's history, if my math is off, forgive me. I think he is 41-9 in the month of February since he's taken over as the Aztecs head coach. That is pretty ridiculous. So, our success this month, we're 4-0. But I was listening to John Schaefer this week, and he had Ken Pomeroy on. And, I'm not the biggest metrics guy, but hearing him come on the interview, I was intrigued. I was interested to hear, his perspective. And surprisingly, like, he wasn't just talking all data. It wasn't just all numbers talk. He really gave an honest assessment of the data, right? But in normal terms, which I thought it was really cool, and just talking about how the Aztecs, they've improved offensively so much. Whereas in years prior, it's like you can have the greatest defense you want in the world, but once you get down to that tournament time, all that's kind of out the window, because you're dealing with a high criteria of teams. Everybody's going to be somewhat good and have that barometer to match up. So a good shooting team you're going to get ran even despite how good your defense is. So I just thought it was really interesting, his perspective, essentially guaranteeing, like, I don't see us not making the tournament, and at least have the opportunity to go at least 2 games deep in the tournament, according to the metrics. Like I said, I'm not the biggest stat guy, but KenPom, after hearing him to go along with his metrics, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I like what he said, that, his metrics don't really determine the seeding. They kind of give you an idea of, once the seeding happens, the matchups in the tournament and who's going to win based on the metrics. So I think we have great metrics this year, more balanced than we've had in the past. I think it's going to be really important for a tournament run. What I really liked about that interview, though, is he said that every single national champion has played way above their metrics both offensively and defensively. So if you're struggling and you're not playing above your, where you're at metrically, you're not going to make a deep run into March. And we've talked about this on the podcast at length about the importance of efficiency and being efficient on both ends, offense and defense. If you want to make a deep run, and we've talked about this before, Ken Pomeroy validates it. You're going to have to, play above where you're ranked to make a deep run in the tournament.
It makes me think of that UConn team in that Jamal interview, right? Where, Kemba just had an amazing Big East tournament, but Jamal said it wasn't Kemba that killed us. It was Jeremy Lamb. He just came out of nowhere and just scored like at least 30 points against us. You just need that guy to get hot. Sometimes, like you said, to be efficient with the basketball, but at the same time, you get the hot hand, anything could happen. Mike, I know you had a hot take you were thinking about when you were listening to that Ken Pom interview. How is Mike going hard in the paint this week?
I could care less about metrics. I don't care.
Don't care.
I really don't give a shit.
Don't care. Still don't care.
Like, I know everybody loves it and I look at it and stuff like that. Don't care.
I don't care.
You have Colorado State, you have New Mexico, you have Boise and Wyoming. That's the only thing I worry about. The rest of the other stuff it'll come when it comes. Here's my philosophy. If you keep winning, everything's going to fall into place. But like, I feel like the Ken Pom is an interesting, it's like, the money ball kind of thing, and you get the stats and that's cool. But for me, like we've talked about it,
don't care.
Just keep winning. The rest is going to take care of itself. If you beat Colorado State, okay, then you go into you win the next 4 and you go in the conference tournament. I agree with Dutch. Winning the regular season is tougher than the Mountain West tournament because you get hot for 3 games and you win it all, right? And the longevity of the regular season. Worry about the next 4 games. Just win. You win, and the rest of stuff is going to take care of itself. For me, the metrics thing is interesting, but once you start throwing around the metrics and things like that, my first concern is, we might not get in the tournament because they're so worried about the metrics. Not the team, but the generalities of it. Just win the conference and then worry about the Mountain West tournament. And then you can worry about winning a game in the NCAA tournament.
Hey,
I was looking at, hold on, Fiend, please don't interrupt me. I know you're going to go after me on this one, so I apologize. So, but I mean, like, look at, we won games in 11, 13, 14, and 15. 2 seed, we got to the Sweet 16. 7 seed, we won 1 game. We went up against Florida Gulf Coast. 14, we were the 4 seed, we got to the Sweet 16. 15, we were the 8 seed, we just won 1 game. 12, 18, 21, 22, we were 6, 11, 6, and 8. And then obviously in 16, 17, 19, 20, we didn't go to the tournament. So, but then it's all matchups too, So kind of not to deviate, I know I probably got through my shot clock again here and I apologize. But I guess a long story short, I don't care about the metrics.
Still don't care. I don't care.
Just keep winning and the rest will take care of itself, and then worry about the Mountain West tournament when that comes up, and then worry about the NCAA tournament when that comes up.
Mikey, can I share a secret with you?
Yes, of course, please. Indulge me.
So
I drink my Ale Smith.
If you have higher metrics in offensive and defensive efficiency, you're more likely gonna win.
No, I get that. But if you score more points, the other team, you're gonna win too. Like, that's to me, that's like, just score more points.
You score more points because you're offensively efficient.
Well, okay, whatever. Who cares?
Still don't
we're talking
care.
about 6.5 to the other, right? So like, you just keep winning, and you combine our defense with a better offense than we had last year. I've always said you win tournament games by scoring points. How many tournament games are 45-43? Not many.
I think you need to draw the clear distinction, guys, because like, the metrics are great for the regular season. Mm-hmm. And I think that's essentially what I took from Ken Pom's interview there on 760 with John, is that the season, the Ken Pom metrics and all the metrics basically for the season, over the long haul, that's how you're going to perform. That's how you're going to get to that point to get into the dance. But once you get into the dance, it's wide open because everybody's at that level. So to simply say, well, just win games. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Mike. You just got to win. However you win it, there's no style points. You just got to win. But you win by being efficient, by following what is working, by following the trends, by following the data and doing what works. But once you get to the tournament, it's all out the window. It's over. Those metrics mean nothing because you got to play outside of your mind. You got to tap into whatever's working in that moment and ride it all the way as far as you can. So, I mean, there's a little bit of both. I truly believe there's room for the metrics, but it can't be everything. You know what I mean? You can't be everything because your confidence, who's not gonna cower in the moment. But when that pressure is on, who's gonna step up? Who's gonna make the big shot? And the tournament is all about pressure. The stats go out the window. It's who's got the heart, the determination, who's willing to step up under that pressure and make those shots to win, whether they're efficient shots or not. But you know,
no, I get it. But Fresno State's a different team than UNLV. It's a different team than Utah State, which is a different team than Colorado State. They're all different teams. But to me, the simplicity of it is, instead of digging through the weeds, is just beat Colorado State. That's all you have to worry about right now. I guarantee that's all Dutch is saying. He's like, don't worry about anything else. Just beat Colorado State. Because you beat Colorado State at home, which you should. Okay, you're still rolling. What happens if they don't? Then you're going to have to win the next 3 games to win the tournament, the conference, really.
You devise a game plan based on the other team's metrics to try to exploit their weaknesses, and you employ that into your game plan to try to win a game, right? So the metrics become a part of the winning process, the winning formula. They're not the end, but they're a part of that process to get the W.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, I understand. So what about this? What about when we play Wyoming and the guy who scores 4 points a game all of a sudden is wildly efficient and scoring 18 points? You game plan around their guys and they game plan around us, but then there's also X factors that you can't factor into the metrics.
Yeah. And that's why you have to make in-game adjustments.
Yeah. So to me, it's just each game is its individual splendor, if you want to call it. You know, Colorado State is probably a little bit of a different team than we played a month and a half ago. New Mexico's a different team. Boise we played recently, but Wyoming is definitely going to be a different team. 100% going to be a different team on the last game of the season at home.
Yeah, because they got a bunch of walk-ons on their team now.
Well, and Hunter Thompson's back. And, you know what I mean? So he's a good player. He's one of the best players. Now, Fresno State also didn't have their best player. The guy got hurt, or I don't know if he got hurt or whatever, but.
Can we talk a little bit about the bracket reveal that came out yesterday?
Is that ESPN or is it where is that?
I'm not sure. I don't know which network came out with the bracket reveal. It was through the NCAA tournament committee, but they listed their top 16 teams, top 4 seeds in each region, if the tournament were to start today. And so I thought it was really interesting because, if you look at like the net rankings, some of the teams that were high in the net rankings were not seeded as high in the bracket reveal. And I was just wondering, well, why is that? Why isn't it not matching up? So like someone who's 4th in the net is going to be a number 1 seed in the tournament. And, I did a little bit of digging into that and kind of looking at the different, why that happened. And there are a couple of teams like UCLA that, was ranked very high, like in KenPom and the net. They were number 3 in KenPom, number 4 in net. Yeah. So UCLA, in KenPom, they're ranked number 3rd. In the net, they're ranked number 4th. They were seeded 8th in the bracket reveal. And a team like Arizona, who was ranked number 9th in KenPom and 11th in the net, so below UCLA, was actually ranked ahead of UCLA in the bracket reveal. And I was like, well, why is that? Why is, metrically UCLA is better. Why are they, ranked below Arizona in the bracket reveal? And if you look at the quad 1 wins, okay, so these are the wins against the top teams in the net. So if you win if you beat one of the top 30 teams in the net at home, that's a quad 1 win. If you beat the top 50 team on a neutral site, that's a quad 1 win. Or if you beat a top 75 team on the road, those are all quad 1 wins. Arizona is 6-2 in quad 1 wins. UCLA is 4-4. So what I see out of this bracket reveal is that the tournament selection committee is weighing more heavily quad 1 wins than they are the rankings in the net or KenPom. And another team that kind of got screwed by this is St. Mary's. Okay, St. Mary's is 8th in KenPom, 7th in the net, and they weren't even in the bracket reveal. They weren't even in the top 16. And why were they not in the top 16? Because they only have 2 quad 1 wins. They're 2-1. Okay. So when you look at how this affects the Aztecs, right? The Aztecs are number 17 in both the net and KenPom, right? So if you're looking at number 17, that should be about 4, maybe a 5 seed in the tournament. I say a 5 seed in the tournament. But the Aztecs are 2-4 in quad 1 wins. So we don't have as many quad 1 wins as other teams that are ranked around us in those metrics. So my thought is that we are going to get knocked down a couple of seed lines, probably to a 7 seed, because we lack those quality quad 1 wins. Now we've got a couple opportunities coming up. We have Boise State, we have New Mexico, and then we got the Mountain West tournament. If we can win those games and add some more quad 1 wins to our resume, then I think that boosts our hopes of getting maybe a 5 seed or maybe even a 4 seed. But as it stands right now, I think the highest we are is a 7 seed.
I think that's really fair, to be honest with you, man. And thank you for bringing all that to our attention. But I really do think that's fair. There's a lot of room for improvement in our resume that we can make, like what you just said. But guys, let's be honest. I mean, last season was a pretty impressive year for the conference. Last year, 4 teams made the dance. None of them advanced past the first game. So, like, we can tout all we want, the metrics, how great the Mountain West is doing this year, which they're having a really solid year. I think Ken Palm pointed it out that you got teams like San Jose, which, okay, they're not going to make headlines, but the bottom of the Mountain West has elevated to where every team is quality to a certain standard. But until you do it and prove it in the tournament, you're not going to get the respect. The conference is not going to get the respect as other conferences, like in the East Coast and whatnot. Until you do it in the tournament, you're not going to get the respect.
Yeah, I don't think the past history is really going to affect the number of teams that get in the tournament this year. I just think it's the lack of opportunities for quad 1 wins. I mean, you look at the Power 5 conferences, I mean, they're all night in and night out. Look at the Big 12, how many quad 1 opportunities those teams have, or the Big 10, ACC, SEC. The Mountain West is just not going to have that many opportunities because you have to, in order to get a quad 1 win at home, which is a lot easier to win at home than on the road, you have to have teams in the top 30 of the net. Well, I think it's us and maybe Boise that are in the top 30. There's no one else. So they're not going to be counted as quad 1 wins, and that is going to hurt us individually, each team, in the conference. And so that's just the way it is, playing in a conference that doesn't have like the quality, the top end quality that some of the other conferences have.
And then forget about trying to schedule non-conference teams when the Power 6 or whoever you want to call it don't really want to schedule Mountain West teams, So.
Well, we scheduled really well this year. We had the Maui Invitational. We just, we choked against Arkansas, and we didn't show up against St. Mary's. And those were 2 perfect quad 1 opportunities that, would really help us come, tournament seeding time. But we squandered those opportunities. So we're just going to have to live with the results.
Well, I was just going to say, going back, you keep winning and you're in, right? Right now we have Nevada in, theoretically, Boise and us. And now New Mexico's on the outside looking in, which they should be. So what happens, there's always going to be conferences that have the there's the 1 seed or whoever loses in the conference tournament and some X factor wins that thing and takes a bid, Like, I know for me personally, it's like, okay, worry about the regular season, then move on to Mountain West. And if you can win, say you win, you go 3-1 to end the season, and then you get to the final of the Mountain West tournament, I feel a lot more comfortable. Not that I'm not already, but I just don't want to have that worry about that, going in. So just win the conference. And if you win the conference and you win your tournament, you're in, and you don't have to worry about anything. You just got to worry about the matchup. So, it's a lot of stuff that can happen in the next 3 weeks. Or however, a lot of stuff can happen in the last 3 weeks, and we've seen it. That's why it's called March Madness, and it starts March 1st.
So the next bracket reveal is on March 4th. So in a couple of weeks, the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee will come out again and, give their top 16 seeds. So we'll see, if there's been any movement, and, if we pick up a couple more, say 2 or 3 more quad 1 wins, I think we only have 2 opportunities up until the 4th. I don't know if that gets us in the top 16, but I would think that would get us a little higher seed than we are now.
Right. Okay, so we're going to take this time to transition to this week, because this week we got two big games at home against Colorado State on Tuesday, like we already mentioned. About a little over a month ago, we had a great interview with Jeff Smith, the president of the Mesa Foundation, who's creating a lot of NIL opportunities for both men's and women's basketball teams. Well, this Tuesday night at Viejas, hosting Colorado State, the Mesa Foundation is launching their first, it's called Big Heart Trivia mobile gaming app. So if you have the capability on your smartphone to download Big Heart Trivia, definitely do so. It's an app. It's similar to Wordle, and basically it's a fun, I guess it would be like a trivia type of game app that has to do with Aztecs basketball. And so the winner, this Tuesday is the first launching of the game. Now, the winner has the chance to win $500, and the game will last right up until about the end of the actual basketball game. So all you who are listening, who are going to be at Viejas, or if you're not going to be at Viejas, you definitely want to download Big Heart Trivia, the mobile gaming app. All the proceeds, now this is not gambling. It's very similar to an app that you can basically win money off, but it's not gambling. And so definitely check out the Mesa Foundation. They're going to be posting a lot more information on their social media sites in the next few days leading up to Tuesday's game. And of course, like everything that Mesa does, it's 100% of the money raised goes towards their student athletes at San Diego State. So definitely check that out, guys. You know, Mesa Foundation, they're doing a great thing to keep us competitive in the NIL space for basketball. And, you know, we want it to grow and help out other teams. So anyways, but this Saturday, we're on the road to New Mexico. Now, we're not going to do a breakdown of that game, but I would like to say, you know, for all you listeners, you know that we've had our watch parties, a few this season up at AleSmith Brewery here in San Diego. And so we just want to let everybody know who's listening right now. This Saturday, AleSmith and SDSU the official athletic department, they are hosting an official watch party this Saturday night at 7:00 for the Aztecs versus Lobos game. It's going to be there at AleSmith Brewery, the makers of the State Ale, official brewery of San Diego State. So they're going to be putting together a watch party. I'm definitely want to encourage as many people to go check it out, go have a good time. They have usually have like a $5 State Ale special during the game. Taco truck out front it's an amazing facility. The Tony Gwynn Museum down at the bottom is awesome. You definitely want to check that out. And all the good folks down there at AleSmith, really big supporters of Sons of Montezuma, Aztecs basketball, all things SDSU. So hopefully get to see what they got cooking there and get to see a lot of familiar faces down there this Saturday. All right, Fiend, I know you're working on Colorado State, a preview article for this second go round against the Rams. This time we get them at home. The first game we barely escaped Colorado State with a win. What do you see different in this game coming up? Because I mean, I feel like we've elevated a bit. We're sitting the top of the conference as we were back then. But what do you see for this matchup coming up Tuesday?
Well, I think a big thing is we don't have to play at elevation, right? We don't play that well on the road. And I think having the home crowd is going to be really important, for this team to get out to hopefully a big lead at the beginning, like we've done. I think the last 4 games, that's pretty much we've put the nail in the coffin almost by halftime. Now we've let teams back into games, but we haven't squandered it completely in the second half. But I think that's going to be really important because we at Colorado State just fell behind early. I mean, they were hitting really tough threes. Jalen Lake came out of nowhere. That's another guy, you were talking, Mikey, about guys who, don't really hit that many shots and then they come out and they just catch fire. I mean, I think he was 5 of 7 from 3-point range, and we fell down early and just had to claw our way back just to get it into overtime. So I'm hopeful that this game, is going to be a lot better. We're going to have friendly rims at Viejas Arena, and Hope to see a lot of 3-point shots because Colorado State does not defend the 3 well at all. They shoot the 3 well, but they do not defend well. I think they're one of the worst in the conference at that. So hopefully we can get some Adam Seiko 3-point buckets and get the crowd going early and, put these guys to bed by halftime. I mean, I don't think that the line has come out from Vegas, but according to KenPom, I think we're about 12-point favorites.
It's the next to last game, home game at Viejas, so I'm like really excited to get in there and check it out. But I feel like supremely confident in this game. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, and considering the game that we just came off of, where we almost lost to a pretty bad team, at least in the conference standings. I mean, we should probably be nervous, but I think the fact that we're playing at home and we've been playing so well at home, I think that's what really gives me confidence.
Yeah. Playing amazing at home. And I think it's gonna be crowded. Like, I think it's gonna be packed, and because this is the second last game, and I think everybody knows that they need us. We can't, I get nervous. This is the time, during the season, okay, cool, we got going. But these are the last few games of the season where I get those butterflies and you get in the net rankings. There's only so much you can do right now, for somebody like us, that you're not going to jump from 17 to 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that. You're kind of in this, you can drop more than you can gain, I feel. And so a game like this, you got to have to worry about this game. And then you got 2 tough road tests that, I don't know how high New Mexico is. I know Boise's, a little bit higher, but this is a tough stretch, man, and especially for our seeding to get that 1 seed on that Thursday morning, if we can get that, because I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be chaos the next 2 weeks. And then the Mountain West tournament you never know what's going to happen there. So
it's like we're right there. We're so close. You can start to taste it a little bit. Like the March Madness is almost here. We're right there, almost around the corner. We're there at the home stretch.
Yeah,
it's exciting. I'm ready for Vegas.
It's the best time,
People are tired of losing to the Aztecs.
Yeah, but
they're sick and tired of it. So I mean, they're giving everything they got every time we step up into their arena, or they come to our gym. But our gym is a lot tougher for them to get a victory.
I mean, that New Mexico, in New Mexico,
place is gonna be sold out.
It's gonna be insane, dude.
It's already sold out.
Crazy, you know what I mean?
They got 14,000 people there, and it's gonna be probably standing room only. It's gonna be, and here's the other thing: New Mexico is desperate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're a top 30 KenPom team. We're a quad 1 win. They need more quad 1 wins. They're coming off a couple of really bad losses, right? And they're right on the bubble. So teams like Utah State, who have maybe 1 quad 1 win, I don't know. They beat Nevada. I'm not sure if they're even quad 1. So
talk about that game, jeez.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. I mean, talk about a tale of 2 halves there. But those teams like Utah State and New Mexico, I mean, they're right on the bubble. They are desperate, and when teams are desperate, that's usually when you get their best shot.
All right, guys, Tuesday night, 8:00 at Viejas. You definitely don't want to miss it. I'm not sure if we're gonna set up my canopy again at Eureka. Man, that might get a little wild at 8:00 start. It might give me too much time to have too much fun having on campus, but we'll see. We'll have to see about that. But even if we don't, make sure you guys are checking our NIL store and our custom merch out at sonsofmontezuma.com. You still got time to get geared up for March Madness and the tournament. You definitely want to be sporting your Lamont Butler and Nathan Mensah tees and all the different merch we have going on, all the different basketball merch. We got some new styles coming up this week for sure, so you definitely want to check those out. I'm looking forward to New Mexico this Saturday at Ale Smith, and make sure everybody is connected with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Any parting shots, guys? Any parting shots?
I just want to get this win and move on.
All right, guys, on behalf of SD Sports Team, Mike Tortolot, Mateo San Diego signing off, sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs.
Go Aztecs. My boys ready to eat, no dinner time. We got you beat, no finish line. People's looking bright, boys coming in X things LB.